Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Hi, Rob. Yes, we can.
Okay, cool.
I can hear you.
I got a new webcam and a microphone, so I want to make sure it works okay.
How are you doing, Rob?
I'm good, hanging in there. How are you, Patrick?
Good. It's been a busy day.
Keeps life interesting.
Yep. Makes the day go by quick, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if Eric already notified you Gloria will not be attending.
Yeah, she did. Thank you.
Okay.
Looks like we're just waiting on Chris.
Yes.
And then for anyone who's streaming this online, my name is Robert Cullen. I'm the board president. I'll be chairing the meeting today. And if anyone would like to submit comments or questions during our meeting, please email them to the clerk of the board at comment@svswa.org. Again, that's comment@svswa.org. Every effort will be made to read your comment into the record, but some comments may not be read due to time limitations. Comments received after an agenda item will be made part of the record if received prior to the end of the meeting. We'll get started. We have to have quorum first, but in a couple minutes, 4 o'clock or when Chris joins us. Okay, I see that Supervisor Lopez joined us. And Chris, can you just confirm that you can hear us?
I can't hear you. Just kidding.
That would be quite confusing.
That's why he didn't respond, right?
Zoom jokes. Gotta love them.
All right, well, it is 4 o'clock and I'm going to call this meeting to order. I'm going to both call the meeting to order and ultimately adjourn the meeting in honor and recognition of both Mayor Gunter and Mayor Ralph Rubio, who both left indelible marks on the agencies that they served and those that served with them or interacted with them. Good people, passionate people, gave a lot. So I will call the meeting to order in their memory. We'll let the minutes reflect that Supervisor Lopez and I are present, and Vice President Gloria de la Rosa is unable to join us today. So we'll start, actually really quickly, if anyone has joined us since I made the previous announcement, if you would like to, anyone who's streaming this online, if you'd like to submit any public comment or questions or comments as we get into the agenda items, please do so by sending an email to the clerk of the board at comment@svswa.org. Every effort will be made to read your comment into the record, but some comments may not be read due to time limitations. Comments received after an agenda item will be made part of the record if received prior to the end of the meeting. And on that note, I will turn it over to Patrick for general manager comments.
I have no comments outside of the meeting agenda items.
Okay. Let's go to department manager comments. Are there any department managers that would like to make a comment?
This is Mandy Brooks, Resource Recovery Manager, and just wanted to give an update that we have rescheduled our tire amnesty events. So that is currently happening at all 3 of our facilities, Sun Street, Johnson Canyon Landfill, as well as Holland Road Transfer Station. And we will be accepting up to 9 tires per customer per trip at each of our facilities through the end of August. So we had to reschedule that event because the other ones were scheduled right when COVID hit. So this is just a reschedule. And then we will also host again another event at all facilities in October. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mandy. And I have been seeing the advertising on that, both newspaper, Facebook. I feel like I saw it somewhere else too. So the word is getting out. So thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Are there any other department manager comments? Department managers that would like to make a comment?
This is Ray.
Go ahead, Ray. Go ahead.
All right. Just wanted to keep you guys informed on a couple things that has happened since the last meeting. The CalPERS annual rates came in at 4.7%. Those are preliminary rates. Their discount rate is 7%. So for us, that's going to mean about a $200,000 unfunded liability, but we won't see that until fiscal year 21-22. The earliest we'll be able to pay it is about October of next year. But we'll keep an eye out on that. We do budget $100,000 for UIL, and we do have $100,000 in the budget this year, but our UIL this year is only going to be about $30,000. So we're going to look into, there are some trusts you can put that money in to hopefully carry it over into next year to help us manage this UIL and if possible, pay it as soon as we can. Health insurance rates also came out in the last month. They're an increase of 9.3%. We budget for a 10% increase, so that's just below our budget, so we should be fine. And then our regular insurance premiums, unfortunately with COVID and everything happening, those rates came in extremely late. We were actually signing insurance stuff a week before the fiscal year started, so we had coverage. Unfortunately, those rates saw increases of about 40% across the board. So huge budget hits on that. But right now, we did reduce our equipment maintenance budget, but we'll see if getting the equipment maintenance guy in has enough savings to cover that. We'll just keep an eye on it and keep the board appraised of it as we go forward.
Okay. Ray, do you have it right there as to when the plan year starts on the health insurance?
Our health insurance, the new rates kick in on January 1st every year.
Okay.
Typically CalPERS,
Is that the plan year though? Is January 1st the plan year?
yes.
Okay. For what it's worth, if you think it's worth the effort to reprice the health insurance and get other quotes, because I mean, I get to see all that data because we're a covered California agency, and that is really at the high end of the spectrum of rate increase for our area. So take that for what it's worth.
Okay, what I don't have in front of me is what the opt-out is on those contracts, because they are through CalPERS. So I will take a look on Monday when I'm back somewhere I can get to that stuff.
Yeah, just in Monterey County for 2021, it's not finalized, but we're looking at like an overall 4.6% rate increase in health insurance.
Yeah, well, they've managed to keep them fairly flat the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So I think that's it's the catch-22 on certain things. It's, you know, just like rate increases, you either do small increments or you take a big hit somewhere down the line. So I think that may have something to do.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I think it would be worth it, at least to do some research. Yeah, health insurance.
Yeah, no,
into
we'll do some research. I'll take a look on. I'll take a look on Monday when I'm back.
Health insurance rates for 2020 going into 2020 were relatively flat because there were so many more people in the exchange. So anyways, I'll end it there. Take a look at that.
Okay.
Now was that someone else that was starting to speak a minute ago? Was that Brian or Caesar?
Caesar.
Okay,
So-
go ahead, Caesar.
Yep, this is Caesar. So real quick comment. This is more for Supervisor Lopez. I know he's leading the charge for the South County cleanup of the famous Green Bridge, Arroyo Seco, and a lot of illegal dumping. And I've seen the comments of people volunteering or wanting to volunteer to do cleanup. Just a reminder, we do have the illegal voucher program with the health department, so they can dispose of that waste being collected at Johnson Canyon at no cost. So just a real quick reminder on that.
Thank you, Caesar. That's my backup. My hope is that Waste Management will actually bring a truck down and park it at that point, and we can load it for them. But if they can't, the plan is just to bring my own trailer and a friend's trailer and fill up as much as we can. And if we need to do that, then we will use the voucher program. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep, definitely.
Cool, thanks. And let's see, Brian Kennedy, you got anything for us?
I actually have no comment.
Okay. All right, let's go to committee member comments. And so Chris, do you have any comments tonight?
Just, our numbers are increasing. I feel sort of like we're a crab in boiling water. My biggest concern isn't really the overall number that goes on every day, but it's the hospitalizations.
Yep.
And so if you track that number, you'll see it's been slowly increasing. But I remember a month ago being able to say, hey, we're only at 14 or 15 a day. We're okay. Well, we're averaging 49 or 50 right now, hospitalized every single day. So I just encourage everybody to continue to take every precaution you can for yourself, for your family, and for our communities as we continue to battle COVID at every corner. I know that the issue over the Green Bridge has come to light, and it's one of those things I've been working on for years. And so I'm thankful that we have so much community support to clean that up, and we're going to try to do it in an extremely safe way. But it is a significant amount of garbage down there, especially diapers and plastics and things that do not deteriorate, and those will end up in the ocean. And more concerning to me, actually, as somebody who loves to fish, is the rock walls that have been built throughout the river system that are blocking fish from moving upriver. I've gone out there a couple times and removed some of those just to make sure that the fish can move up and down. So I appreciate everybody's support as we continue to push the reminder of the community that that's not a place to recreate. It is private property, and that was sort of allowed by the community by the property owners for so long. But at this point, the condition it's in is a huge concern. And so we need to clean that up. And maybe in the future, we can look at doing something at the site. But right now, we need to address the environmental damage there. I did want to briefly speak to the loss of Mayor Gunter and Mayor Rubio. They were both, folks that I sat across from the table with at times and didn't always agree on things, but it was always a fair and clean fight in terms of the issues. And that's something I appreciated about people who, and continue to appreciate about people who fight for their communities, who step up to make their voice heard on behalf of their community and become leaders. And so Ralph was a good friend. And I know I've told the story a few times about how he and I connected over fruit trees and our love of gardening. And so I sit here today with the fig tree is behind me, right behind this screen. And, it's my Ralph Rubio fig tree, one that I'll always remember I got out of his garden. And so it'll be here. And I really mourn the loss of both of those leaders. And I want to thank President Cullen for opening and closing today in both of their honors. I think it's a well-deserved honor and show of respect. And with that, I'll end my comments. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. And it's a great story about Mayor Rubio. It's a special thing, and you will always have that reminder right there. That's pretty cool. All right, I don't have any other comments. Just to say ditto some of the other comments that were made. So let's go to public comment. I'll first ask, have any comments been emailed in?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, sorry about that. We do not have any public comment.
Okay. And for anyone who's streaming online, you can submit comments by emailing them to the clerk of the board at comment@svswa.org. Okay. Brian Fruss, do you have anything that you wanted to speak to during public comment, or did you want to wait till items 6 and 7 to potentially make comments?
The latter, yes. I'll just if I have comments, but I guess I do have one announcement. If you didn't already, I guess you already got the message that Gloria was unable to make it.
Yeah, we made that announcement at the beginning of the meeting. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I missed the beginning.
No, it's fine. Thank you. Okay, we'll go down to the consideration items, and the first item for consideration is the minutes of the June 4th meeting. Any discussion on that, Chris?
One very minor issue. It's just one of those stupid things that proves that I read the packet. Down on item 2 on the June 4th minutes, it's a minor typo, but our March 2020 clams. Kind of a SpongeBob moment there. Just a minor typo.
Thank you, Chris.
No problem.
Ray was counting his clams there.
No, actually, I'm more thinking that I should have caught that because we do review them, and I definitely read my items, so I missed that altogether.
Well, Chris, you definitely get the. What are we on now? We used to, what was it, tacos a couple years ago? Pie,
pie, as I remember it.
You get a brief from the author.
Yeah, next time we meet in person, 6 months from now, maybe.
On a fast timeline.
All right, I'm going to do this on every item. Has any public comment come in on this item?
No public comment.
Okay, Chris, can you make that motion, please?
Absolutely. So done.
And I will second. And anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
President.
Yes, sorry. Did I go too fast?
I'm sorry to interrupt. Just wanted to remind you that we need to maintain the 1-minute pause after each item for the delay in the YouTube video.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, I will do that going forward.
Yeah.
Thank you for the reminder. Okay, so we'll go down to the May 2020, I'm just going to call it clams and financial reports.
All right, I'm gonna be really quick since these are already superseded by the next item. But at the end of May, we had already met our annual revenue projections. We were 900,000 ahead of the prior year in revenue. All expenditures are in line with plenty of room to continue paying bills through the end of the fiscal year. Unless there's any specific questions.
One from me.
None from me. And has any public comment come in on this item?
We do not have any public comment.
Okay. On any of these items, Brian Fruss, not Brian Kennedy, Brian Fruss, if you want to provide any comments under public comment, just give us a holler, okay?
Okay, I'll raise my hand. Thank you.
Okay. And now I will take a slow 1 minute sip of water here to kill a minute of time. We should take turns like telling a joke to kill the minute. I guess that would be part of the minutes, so we probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know that my joke should be on Zoom.
Well, now I really want to hear them. Okay, one last chance. Has any public comment come in on this item?
No, no public comment.
Okay,
Move approval.
and I will second. Anyone opposed? No. Motion carries. And we'll go down to item 3, which is June 2020 claims and financial reports.
It does not say clams on both of those, does it?
No, they're right, but it's hard not to read them that way.
Okay, so the Junes are preliminary. We are actually still paying invoices to prior last year that are coded belong to last year. We were flat year over year for revenue year to date in June. So obviously the revenue did take a dip back since we were up in May. All the expenditures are in line, and we should be well below budget even when we're done paying invoices. We only have one large invoice remaining, and it came in today, so we'll be paying that next week and then cutting off last year so we can wrap the financials up and get ready for the audit. But another good year with a hefty surplus that we'll be working on the allocation in a few months once we're done with the financials.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments, Chris?
No.
Okay, has any public comment come in on this item?
No public comment.
Okay, we'll pause a minute here. Okay, one last check. Any public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Okay, can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
I will second. I should do this differently. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. And we'll go now to item number 4, the June 2020 quarterly clam report. Ray?
So these are the cash and investment reports, but this typically goes directly to the board, but since we're dark in July, the first meeting we have is EC. All of our money, the majority of our money is invested in LAIF, which at the end of June had a return of 1.2%. As of this morning, it was actually 1.08, so it is slowly dropping. I did look into other investments, but like the best we can get out of CD right now is 0.65%. We'd have to lock our money in for 5 years. So it's, we could take a hit now and try to keep a rate because late last year during the recession dropped well below up to almost nothing. But even last time, it seemed like LAIF was outperforming for a while, and in the long run seemed to manage to keep up even with switching investments. So for now, we're just gonna keep our money in LAIF and keep an eye on it. But LAIF is safe and the money's there. And unless there's any specific questions,
I don't have any questions. Chris, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Okay, any public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Okay, we'll hold a minute to see if any comments come in. For anyone who's streaming, a reminder to email comments to comment@svswa.org. Okay, assuming no public comment has come in, I'll entertain a motion on this one.
So moved.
And I will second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And now we're on item number 5, which is an update on the emergency response related to COVID-19. And I'll turn it over to Patrick, please.
Right. Well, this is just a quick update, sort of keep you abreast of what's going on. So in your packet, we had a supplemental item, which was really a summary from Waste Dive that many of you know about. It's a sort of the Reader's Digest version of the solid waste industry reports coming out from all sources. And they maintain a regular daily report, actually, of issues that are happening across the industry specific to COVID. So you'll see there's a quick summary in there of a lot of different facilities. And so really, it's just a reminder for us and our staff and for the board as well that we're clearly, I think, as Director Lopez said earlier, we're not out of this by any means. While I would knock on wood right now, we have not had a work-related exposure. We have had a number, though, of employees who were exposed outside the workplace. Relative, a family member, a child, and have had to pretty much regularly now for the last couple of months place people out on temporary leave until we're certain that they're either not tested out as non-infectious or they've passed a quarantine period, depending on whether their exposure was firsthand, secondhand, or thirdhand. So this is continuing to be a challenge. I know Cesar can speak to this because he's the one that's having to deal with this, because this is where we get affected as operations. We are set up across the board administratively to run for people to telework. And so, if someone has that exposure, they can just work from home. Work product and productivity don't get impacted. But in the operational side, we lose 1 or 2 people. It starts to put a little bit of a strain on employees. But again, knock on wood, we haven't seen a wave of infection come through the agency and a lot of people going out at the same time. But it is happening in the industry, whether it's at the collection end or at the materials recovery end. Those are areas where people tend to, not like collections as much, but MRFs, they tend to work closer together. So there's a little more opportunity for mass exposure there. But so far, we're managing well, and I don't know, Cesar, if you have any additional comments you want to make on the impacts out in the field.
Yeah, as Patrick stated, it's I think across the state we're seeing this ramp up a lot faster than it did at the beginning, and the numbers for July, at least countywide, have grown quite a bit compared to June, and we're seeing the same impact with the operations staff in July. And last week actually was probably the hardest hit week I had. I think 5 employees who had a potential exposure, and we had to modify our schedules. And I was very close on Friday evening to shutting down Halone for the Saturday operation, because I was potentially going to be short a cashier, and I was short staff already, so I already had shifted a bunch of staff. So luckily we were able to fill the void. But yeah, it was impactful last week, and we're definitely seeing the impacts that the county's seen across with this ramping up and more people out in the public, kind of either willingly or unwillingly potentially exposing other people. But luckily, we, like Patrick said, we haven't had actually anyone who contacted the virus or has contacted it at work. They've all been exposures through either a family member or relative, you know, but not related to employment. So we've been very lucky, but we're definitely seeing the impacts come down a lot faster than they were in April and May and June. So holding up. I mean, we're just trying to keep the morale up there with staff because we are dealing with a lot of customers. We're still seeing a huge number of customers at all facilities. I mean, Sun Street's, I haven't seen these numbers at Sun Street since we opened the facility at all, peak-wise. I mean, every day just about seems like a weekend. It is very busy. A lot of residents from Salinas coming here, and the surrounding areas around Salinas. Same thing with South County. Johnson's getting more customers, and so is Salon. But we've been holding up good, though.
I'd add just one last thing, and that's really a deep appreciation also for some of Mandy's staff and Ray's staff, because we've actually, in a couple of circumstances, you know, taken office staff and put them out in the field. Mandy's staff has now been rotating out to work in the organics operation at the debagging system, some COVID, some not COVID related. But they've been filling in, as well as Ray's staff filling in on a couple occasions for cashiers. We had a cashier out on vacation or for some other reason. So it's been all hands on, and we've, like Cesar said, we've had a couple of close calls where we started thinking about partial shutdowns, but we've come out of them, and hopefully we'll continue to maintain that continuity in operations.
Thank you. And gosh, thank you for all that have stepped up and helped out. I have a few questions. One, so let's talk a little bit more about those potential exposures. And I'll use myself as an example. I had a potential exposure about 3 weeks ago now. And at that point in time, I got notified of a potential exposure. I was able to call Clínica de Salud here in King City. Was able to get tested the next day, which was a Friday. I think it was a Friday, and I got the test results on Tuesday. So right after that, then some of the guidance changed, and I'm kind of looking for kind of some thoughts from Chris, but also from Cesar, just as we go through this, because we know we're not out of the woods, and if we have potential exposures, are we in a position where we can get those tests? And actually, I should back up, Cesar. When those potential exposures happened, what was and what is the protocol? Is it to have them test and quarantine in the meantime?
That is correct. We asked employees to not come to work if they're feeling the symptoms the day before or in the morning. Call us, let us know. Yeah. And then HR will typically set up an appointment for them to go in and get tested. And then they'll get tested and hopefully test out and be able to return to work. And then if it's potentially, say it's a relative in the household with you that potentially got exposed and you live with them, if they test out and they come back negative, then we know we're good. But typically it's, stay home, self-isolate, and test out as well.
So now, and this is probably more of a question for Chris then, because with how the county has kind of changed the guidance on testing, are we going to run into issues if we need to test employees for potential exposures, or can we maintain those testings since they're essential workers?
So the first thing I want to say is it's actually a correction. It's not, the county didn't change the guidance, it was the state. Okay, so we're following CDPH's new guidance. Most of the testing sites still aren't running based on that guidance at this point. We've been trying to find the right way to message it as a county, and I'm hoping in the next week we're going to start messaging out the change in that guidance and how that's going to impact the testing sites. So the other key message to send is that the testing is different in terms of the processing times depending on where you go. So if you're using a provider, which is usually the hospitals and clinics who are using the county public health lab, and we're one of only maybe, I think it's 16 public health labs in the state of California, but we're only taking samples right now from Monterey County and San Benito. So our turnaround time for samples sent to our lab is less than 12 hours. So we're very quick, and we're bringing down the overall average because of those efforts. We obviously, when this started, we had no testing capacity because we didn't have a kit. Right now, our testing capacity is up around 500. For a long time, we were about at 120, but we've brought on additional machines. The big challenge we have is reagents, the material that the test sample is stored in. And so we've diversified the machines that we're using so that we are never completely out of reagents. And we have a total capacity around 500. I'm really proud of our staff because there's only 3.5 people working in that lab who are getting this done. And so I just like to brag on them a little bit. So I wanted to take that opportunity to do that. Now, if you go to Clínica de Salud, they have a contract with a private outfit out of Southern California, and they're committing to a lot of their customers about a 2-day working day turnaround, which sounds like almost exactly what you got there, President Cullen. The other example that's available is the LHI sites, which are state-sponsored, the Optum sites in Greenfield and Salinas at the Ag Commissioner's Office, Greenfield at the library. And those turnaround times, I understand, are starting to drop. I'm hearing that now it's down to 5 to 7 days, where for a while there we were 12 to 14 days, where really the window is 14 days. And so folks were out of that window by the time they got their result. But what's changing those turnaround times is that overall the state had changed that guidance and more areas are implementing those changes. So the question as to how do we make sure that our staff here at the agency get tested, I think it's understanding what those turnaround times are at those different providers that can help us send them to who's doing the fastest turnaround work. So getting them to a county clinic or getting them to Clínica de Salud is going to get us faster turnaround times. In terms of the guidance, if there was an exposure, there's a matrix chart that we're working on, and when it comes out, it's very similar to the one that already exists. It'll tell you if you qualify to be tested, but I would say for the majority of our staff, as long as there's a potential exposure, yes, then they will qualify. What we're really trying to get away from is testing anybody who thinks themselves they might have had an exposure, but haven't been contacted by either a contact tracer or some other agency like their Office of Employment to say, you have been in contact with somebody or were within range, please go get tested. Now, if they have that sort of a call out from either their employer or a public health agency, then they will be put to the front of the line. And so I think, again, as a public agency, we have that ability to do our own contact tracing in-house, which California is starting to put on more and more businesses, including a lot of local ag businesses, which we're hearing about. But it also gives them that credibility to walk into a testing site and say, my employer says I was near somebody, please test me, and they will right away.
Okay.
Long answer, I know, I'm sorry.
I appreciate the long answer. That gives a whole lot of context. So thank you for that. And actually, let me pause there because Caesar or Patrick or anyone else, do you have any questions on what Chris just said?
No, I think that just want to thank you for that extra information on where to get faster testing. So I think we've generally seen fairly reasonable turnarounds. Getting something in 2 days or less would really be beneficial to testing some of our employees out and getting them back to work. Because again, we're trying to be extra cautious, and we're having employees that sometimes it's a secondhand exposure. It was a child that was in a household with another child, and a mother was sick. And so we're trying to figure out where that fine line is about being overly cautious, but at the same time, the testing speed actually will help us.
Yeah. Okay. Caesar, did you have any questions for Chris?
No, just appreciate the information. It's good information for the testing sites for us to know. And I think we are using Clínica de Salud and the hospital as well. So
Perfect.
Good info.
Okay. And then have we heard any, so that's obviously the impact and preparations for the authority. Have we heard anything from Waste Management or Republic on impacts in our area to their employees?
We periodically talk to all of them, and so far we have not heard of any significant impacts to their collection operations.
Okay.
So they're pretty much status quo. I think all of them are exercising, caution during safety meetings and things when they're aggregating together. But for the most part, they're out on the road in a cab, just like our drivers and operators are. That's probably one of the safest places you can be if you're in the garbage business, is in a cab. So I haven't heard anything. Caesar, I don't know if you've heard anything from them.
Yeah, I got some information that Republic had a little cluster of employees who did get ill. I mean, I don't know, one employee showed up to work sick or something and kind of spread it out. So they have 2 or 3 employees that are out right now on leave.
Okay.
Okay. Well, hopefully that's not impacting service. Okay. Chris, do you have any questions for or comments on this item?
No, I just appreciate staff staying up on the latest. I think that's that's the critical nature. This stuff shifts almost daily. And so continuing to stay plugged into the good resources is going to be critical as we continue to go through this. And I just appreciate all the efforts we've made from the outset. I know this was something that Patrick and everyone else jumped on really quickly and they've all done a great job of making sure that we don't contribute to the spread and keeping our customers safe as well. I've been to the site a couple times out at Johnson and seeing folks told to go back to their car and get a mask. And so I just appreciate those efforts as a customer and somebody coming in to use the services. It just makes me feel that much safer. So thank you.
Yeah. And Patrick, thank you for sending along that information on what's going on in various parts of the U.S. I think it's a combination of primarily you and your staff's due diligence and care and caution, and mixed in with a little bit of luck there, and hopefully that combination continues and we can continue to provide this vital service all the way from the haulers to us as the authority. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's go out to public comment on this item. Has any public comment come in?
No public comment.
Okay. I will pause for just a minute to see if any public comment comes in. So if anyone else, while we're waiting, if anyone else has any other comments or questions, please feel free to pipe in. Okay, well, interrupt me if any public comment has come in. Otherwise, this is on for informational only. So we will go ahead and move on to item 6, which is an update on the Sun Street Transfer Station relocation project. And we're going to receive a report from Patrick Matthews, please.
All right. Well, this is just an update. I don't have anything substantial to report, but just to kind of let you know where we are with our various discussions. So I think, as I reported last month, we have had discussions with county staff regarding the Rossi Road extension to support, a further expansion of Madison Lane and reduce public impact. We've had, since the last meeting I reported on last month, we have had a couple of quick phone calls with public services, and I had a in-person meeting with their business development manager and their local general manager, just the 3 of us, to sort of go over some options and look at a number of different scenarios they wanted to sort of review. A lot of this, unfortunately, will be stuff we'll have to talk about in closed session. It's real property related activity, but we are making some progress with Republic, albeit very slow. Because again, they have to run things up and down a very long corporate ladder. And so as we exchange information, it takes them a while to digest it, come back with a position or a response. So, but we are now trying to have regular, schedule something regularly every couple of weeks. So we're due to have another conversation probably sometime next week and update them further. So I'm hoping to have more information by the board meeting.
Thank you. Before we go to public comment, Chris, do you have any questions or comments?
No, not at this point.
Okay. And then for the public streaming, please submit your comments, if you have any, by emailing comment@svswa.org. And I'll turn it over to Brian. And Brian, just for the record, if you could state your full name and your title, please.
Brian Frues, City of Salinas Public Works Water Waste and Energy Division Manager. So I don't have any comment. Thank you for the update.
Okay.
But much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay. And thank you for joining us today. Has any public comment been emailed in?
No, no public comment.
Okay. And Patrick, I think at this point, this item is on the agenda as provide input and direction, but is there any input or direction that you need on this item?
Nothing at this point. There may be some direction during closed session, but on the real property side of this. But in terms of this, we're hoping to get something back that we can actually sit down with the full board and executive committee and begin to discuss outlines of various arrangements or agreements that Republic and staff can come to agreement on. So that's what we're trying to do, is just to get something on the table that's sort of concrete that we can actually put out there for formal discussion, and that we have not received anything yet in that nature.
Okay. Thank you. One last check. Has any public comment come in?
No public comment.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and move on to item 7, which is the update on the City of Salinas 1-year notice of intent to withdraw from the joint powers agreement with the Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority. Oh, and I have a report. I'm on this, as well as Patrick, and not really much to report. You know, it's been a tough several months, and a tough month with the passing of Mayor Gunter, which is, you know, we were having some good discussions on that. We will resume those discussions. We're waiting on some stuff from the City of Salinas, and some of this relates to what we'll be discussing in closed session, as well as some items that we'll be discussing at our full board meeting later on in the month. So I don't have anything substantive to report on related to this item. Patrick, do you have anything that you wanted to report on?
Yes, I do. It's just to sort of update you. So the South Valley City managers have, as you know, taken a strong interest in what's going on. Obviously have very significant concerns over the potential for rate impacts and other things. And of course, the sharing of liabilities that came with the formation of the agency. And so they have begun to take a bit of a more active role in trying to help facilitate more conversation. And I've done a couple of presentations to the city manager group, sort of outlining what the challenges are, what we're doing in terms of the discussions we have been having with Mayor Gunter and City Manager Corpus. And so we had a meeting, I believe it was about 2 weeks ago. I was invited again to present. They invited City Manager Corpus to participate in that meeting. And so there was a lot of it was around focusing around the project itself, which we just talked about, the relocation project, you know, and sort of giving them an update on where we are with our discussions with Republic Services. But there was also a lot of discussion about how do we get past this. And they were clearly trying to help facilitate a solution with both myself and the city manager in the room. So one of the outcomes of that meeting was that Ray had asked if I would prepare a summary of the proposed project with Republic Services. And so we've begun to work on that. Basically, we're just extracting information that we've already jointly prepared with our CEQA consultant that outlines the project. He doesn't want a big, long, detailed treatise, just something simple and basic, like how's this project going to be structured? Something that goes beyond just the detailed schedule that we provided a couple of months ago, you know, how long it would take to go from start to finish on the project. And so we're working on that, and hopefully we'll be sharing that with the city managers group in the next week or so. And maybe that'll spur an additional meeting. Because I think their goal, sort of unstated, but clearly implied, is to get beyond the notice of intent to withdraw, and get back on a collaborative pathway that continues to allow the services to all the jurisdictions, and to maintain cost control across our service region. So I definitely appreciate the work that all the city managers have done to sort of support a resolution on this matter.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick. And then one thing I want to add before, Brian, if you're going to provide any comments on this, is that, and perhaps, Brian, this is a message you can carry back to the city of Salinas. One of the things that popped up, this would have been a conversation about a month and a half ago or so now, with the meetings that we were having with the city of Salinas, is that I had made the request to Corpus and Gunter, asking what conditions would be needed in order for the city of Salinas to rescind their notice of intent to withdraw. And that would have been probably at the very end of June, middle to end of June. And I know with everything that's gone on, the city council hasn't had a chance to talk about that. But I'll just kind of reiterate that message, that as we stand here as an authority, we don't know what the conditions are that that the city of Salinas needs and wants to see in order to rescind that notice of intent to withdraw. So to the extent that you can carry on that message back, I'd appreciate that, Brian. And
okay. If I could read that back to you. So you talked to Joe and Ray at the end of June and asked what conditions that the city would consider.
Yeah.
Rescind, withdraw, and then you said you don't know because you're not sure. In other words, the Solid Waste Authority, you don't know what those conditions are.
Yeah, but because basically that notice of intent to withdraw, it's still on the table. And that's something that affects everyone. It affects our employees, it affects our bondholders, it affects our whenever we do get re-rated by the credit agency, it has a number of impacts. And we know ultimately what the city of Salinas wants, which is us to leave Sun Street transfer station there. We know that, but we also know that that's not going to happen overnight. So in the meantime, what the question that I had posed that Corpus was going to take back to staff and council was, all right, as we stand right now, what does the city of Salinas want to see in terms of actions or letter of intent, that sort of thing? What would the city of Salinas like to see the authority take action on in order for the city of Salinas to rescind that notice of intent to withdraw?
Okay, sorry, I'm just jotting all that down. I'm a slow writer, but I think I understand you. So you're aware of the Sun Street, and was governance also brought up?
Yes, and this is another part of the message that you can carry back. The way the governance was left was that Corpus had put together somewhat of a high-level governance suggestion, presented it to us, to Patrick and I, and we provided comments back. And Corpus was going to revise that and send a proposed governance structure to the exec board to take a look at, and then forward to the full board. And ultimately, any governance structure would require a vote by the member agencies within the JPA. In any case, that's the other item that we're waiting on, is we have not received that proposed governance structure from Salinas.
the comments Ray had on the proposed governance structure, right?
Well, Ray submitted to us a high-level governance structure. Patrick and I provided comments back,
Okay,
and then he was going to revise it and present it to us.
so he was going to provide a detailed, let's say, would it be correct to say a detailed governance structure?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think, and then, yes, it would require a vote. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to carry that message. Thank you.
Yeah. And you know, and I should add, we all know what we want. We all want the same thing. We want the authority out of Sun Street and moved elsewhere. So we can get that done. We just gotta work towards that. And we were making some good progress. And then it's going to be interesting now with the passing of Gunter and Corpus announcing his retirement. I know that gets complex, but we're here. We're motivated to take action, and so we can all collectively move forward.
Okay.
So on that note, then Brian, did you have any comments or questions on this item?
I think I'm clear on the item. I don't have any comments. I did want to make just one general comment is I think the city, I will also pass on to the folks at the city. We appreciate you honoring Mayor Joe. And so thank you for that too.
Yeah, thank you. Okay,
Yeah,
so let's see. Has any public comment been emailed in?
No public comment.
Okay. And I don't think that there's any other direction that we need to provide on this, but Chris, is there anything that you want to add that I may have missed, or any other thoughts?
No additional direction or thoughts from my end. Thank you.
All right, let's go now to item number 8, which is the future agenda items, the view ahead calendar.
All right, so we've had a month vacation from each other, which means August will be a busy month. We've got a number of action items, a couple of good news items. Obviously, we've got the final Monterey County litter abatement MOU has been completed. So I'm preparing staff report for that right now, and we're bringing that for. I know John has been a big advocate for that, so that will be moving forward. So a few administrative items. The food bank is going to be coming. They actually wanted to come to the board and have us schedule them to do a thank you for the food distribution, the second food distribution truck that we bought them. So they're very happy about that. We'll be doing our Employee of the Year award, doing our annual tonnage and diversion reporting, and then Mandy will be giving the board an update on our organics program. We're very excited. Everything's up and running. Most of the new infrastructure is in place with a couple minor exceptions, but those are coming. So yeah, we'll be doing a full update on organics and the planning work that we're about to conclude, which is the 1383 planning that we have done under contract with a consultant for all of our member agencies. So I won't steal her thunder, but yeah, she'll be providing a full update on the organics activities. If you think it's necessary, the COVID update was primarily for the EC, but would you like me to go ahead and bring that back to the full board?
I would, yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave that on for the full board as well. Yeah. And then of course the 2 standing items relative to the relocation project and the city's notice of intent to withdraw. Any further updates beyond what we provided today, we'll bring those forward as well. So that's the look ahead for next month. So if there's anything on the agenda you'd like to move around, relocate, new items you'd like to add, this is an opportunity to let us know if there's other things you see coming on the horizon or other information you'd like us to present to the board.
Okay, thank you. One thing I know this takes up space, but going forward on this view ahead calendar or when we have the actual agendas, let's not have the acronym of COS for City of Salinas, and let's actually spell it out. Because you know, if the public's going online to look at our agendas or the view ahead calendar, they may not know what COS stands for. So I know it was done like that for formatting purposes, but if we could change that, please.
Easy enough.
Chris, any comments on the view ahead?
I know we are breaking ground on the Iverson Gloria. Just wondering if we could get some pictures or some video of that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, we do have it scheduled for October because by October it will be substantially complete. In fact, all the AC work should be done by the end of September, and then October is just striping and utility extensions and, you know, some of the cleanup work that they do at the end. But yeah, it is moving along real quick. In fact, they're working with us right now on a small change order for the county to sort of redo just the entrance area of the landfill as it the apron and ingress into the landfill. So that's great. That's going to be covered under the project, and so yeah, we'll be happy. I think Caesar, we could probably take a few photos and just share them at the beginning of the meeting under under manager comments, and then we'll do a more fancy presentation in October once we have the project is approaching being finalized.
Yep, definitely. I'll grab some pictures, and yeah, they're definitely, from the looks of it, either on schedule or ahead of schedule. Iverson is completely down to dirt, and they got the grader out there. They've got all their blowing the culverts out, and they're working on Gloria Road, so they're definitely moving along.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. All right, let's go. We're going to go into closed session now. So for anyone who's streaming this, we're going to go into closed session on one item for real property negotiations related to the Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority property at Sun Street and Republic Services property located at 1120 Madison Lane. Has any public comment come in on the closed session item?
No public comment.
I am going to wait a full minute on this. And for anyone streaming, if you have any comments on this closed session, you've got 1 minute to submit them to comment@svswa.org. And so let's stay in open session for the next minute, and then we'll adjourn to closed session. All right, well, that was about a minute. Any public comment come in?
Public comment.
Okay, at this point in time, we will adjourn to closed session. We will be coming back into open session to adjourn the meeting. So you're welcome to hang tight. Otherwise, right now, we will adjourn to closed session, please. right, so we are back in open session. I'll give a minute or two for people to join us here. All right. And now that you guys can hear me, right?
Yep.
So we are reconvening back into open session. We do not have anything to report out of closed session. So on that note, we will adjourn the meeting in the honor of Mayor Gunter and Mayor Rubio. Wish you all a good evening, and we'll see you at the full board meeting later this month.
Right. Thank you both. Appreciate it. Have a good night and be safe.
Thank you. Stay safe, everyone.